Right, ladies and gents, once again, this is your roundup of last weekend's Premier League games, and we're counting down the top 3 games from the weekend before rounding up the rest. I'm Rich Lewis, and welcome to episode 10 of Off Your Soccer. So, in at number 3, we have spluttering Spurs. Newcastle 2, Spurs 1. This makes the list for me because of 2 things. 1. The magnitude of this result for Newcastle coming off the back of a disappointing transfer window and with a team missing key players after not getting the Mark Gahey deal over the line and with a defence without both Shaw and Botman against a relentless Spurs attack. Newcastle did fantastically to take their chances and pick up a big 3 points against a rival contender for European football so early in the season. That is 3 games unbeaten now for Newcastle. If Spurs, however, had managed to take at least one more of their many chances, the narrative around each team's fortunes would be very much reversed. But instead of an unbeaten start, they are only 1 point behind the much maligned Man United. Now, the second reason for this game making the list is Spurs' failure to score any goals for themselves, having to rely on good own goal to get them on the score sheet. With Dominic Solanke getting injured in the first game, Spurs look very light in terms of strikers, and you do wonder if the success of their season will be aligned with keeping Solanke fit and firing. If he has any further absences this season, they will really need the likes of Son, Maddison and Johnson to find their scoring touch. At number 2, we have naughty but Rice. Arsenal 1, Brighton 1. Let's be honest. This game's here for one reason and one reason only, the Declan Rice red card. It's impossible to know how this game would have panned out without it, but it definitely helped Brighton to pick up another impressive point. So after how Pedro had avoided picking up a yellow card in the first half for kicking the ball away, it was particularly jarring for Arsenal fans to see Rice pick up a second yellow card for doing the same. Only it wasn't quite the same. The referee has deemed that Joel Veltman is trying to take a free kick and not hack down Declan Rice when Rice kicks the ball away before getting clattered by Veltman, who now has no ball to kick. Now, as much fun as it is as a United fan to see Arsenal drop points, I'm just never giving a second yellow card for this. Little niggly things happen like this game in, game out, and rarely get pulled up. If the free kick was in a dangerous area of the pitch, I could understand it more. I'm not buying the letter of the law argument either, as in these situations it's implemented so inconsistently. I've already seen players pulling other players' shirts to stop attacks this season and avoiding yellow cards. You ask any fan if those situations warrant a booking and nearly all will say yes. So you've got inconsistency in what most would deem to be a black and white situation, let alone in a situation where if you ask non-Arsenal fans if Rice should have been booked, you definitely get a mixed response. So for me, taking into account the area of the pitch the incident happened, the referee should have used his discretion here to give Rice a final warning at worst. I definitely wouldn't want to see any United player getting sent off for that. At number 1, it's deja blue for Everton. It was the only place to go. Everton 2, Bournemouth 3. Everton 2-0 up. Well, we were at pretty much the end of the game and somehow managed to concede 3 very late goals to Bournemouth. The question now will be, what will this do to Everton's confidence? The first goal and the equaliser were far too easy, both from crosses, with the second much worse than the third due to the non-existent marking. Amongst a flurry of chances, Tavernier nearly scores from yet another cross, and then, you guessed it, Everton concede from yet another cross and an unmarked header at the back post. Does this sound like a stereotypical Sean Dyche team? Definitely not. On to Bournemouth, I thought Antoine Semenyo looked really impactful again. He got his goal, he appeared to be a regular threat, and I think within the next couple of years he'll be moving to a top side. He's moving into the prime years in my opinion, and if he keeps progressing as he has for a while, Bournemouth will struggle to hang on to him. In terms of Bournemouth outside of Semenyo, they go into the international break with an unbeaten start to the season and will feel good to get 3 points in the bag with Chelsea and Liverpool up next. And back to Everton, it doesn't get any easier with a game against Aston Villa next on the card for them. So that was our top 3 games of the weekend. Moving on now to the rest for a quick roundup. We'll start with Chelsea 1, Palace 1. Now, I heard a rumour that Palace are the team that Chelsea always beat. However, not on this occasion. Chelsea appeared to have enough chances to be out of sight, but a combination of poor finishing and good goalkeeping from Dean Henderson kept them at bay, whilst Palace grew into the game following the introduction of Doucouré and snatched a point with a bit of magic from Eze. It was a beautiful goal. West Ham 1, Manchester City 3, a comfortable win for City in the end, but West Ham played reasonably well and they did have chances, and maybe on a hard and less day there was something in this for them. That's not that City were bad in any way. In fact, they were almost unplayable at points in the game, but once again Haaland was the difference and all 3 finishes were excellent. Brentford 3, Southampton 1. This wasn't a great debut for Aaron Ramsdale in the end, but there was not that he could do anything about the first 2 goals. The attempt at playing at the back for the second goal was especially awful. Possibly could have done a bit better to claw the ball away for the third. One consolation goal for Southampton, however small, is they may have a goal of the month contender with their first goal of the season. As far as Brentford are concerned, City and Spurs are away next. So, in a similar way to Bournemouth, it was really important to get 3 points on the board before the bigger challenges arrive after the international break. Leicester 1, Villa 2. Now, Leicester have arguably had a bigger result than anything they could have got in this game or in the last 24 hours. However, in the game itself, it was really clever. It was a really clever opening goal for Villa. Onana already feeling like a big personality and key player there. Ollie Watkins' wait for a first goal of the season goes on, unfortunately, and in fact it stretches back several games now. And after John Duran found the back of the net again, after coming off the bench, maybe there's a small chance that Watkins' place in the first 11 may be under threat. Leicester would have hoped for points today, but wouldn't necessarily have expected them, and their key games will be against relegation rivals, and maybe they've already got over their biggest challenge of the season in avoiding a points deduction. Ipswich 1, Fulham 1. Big confidence boosting first point for Ipswich. They've had 2 tough games to start the season, and Fulham are by no means pushovers themselves. And there was an excellent opening goal from Liam Delap, and they'll need him to step up after they failed to bring in Armand de Bruyne in the window. A really slick equaliser though from Fulham, Traoré defying his tag of having no product in the final third. He also nearly set Mooney's up to make it 2-1 before half time as well. We seem to be seeing a little bit more from Traoré at the start of this season, and maybe Marco Silva's found a way to get the best out of him and fulfil that potential. Forest 1, Wolves 1. It felt like a predictable-ish result. If you'd had to guess before the game, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have picked a score draw out of the bag. You got 2 pretty well-matched teams for me, and they probably would have both seen it as a good opportunity to pick up 3 points. First goal, pure madness from a Wolves defending perspective. Chris Wood given all the space in the world from a corner. Then Bellegarde breaks the net with a super strike to make it 1-1. Larson was lucky to not give a penalty away for handball for me in the second half. The Dawson one, that was probably harder to give with him not facing the ball. But you're never going to get that after the first one wasn't given. And finally, as always, if you want to hear about how Man United got on against Liverpool, as if you don't already know, you can check out my You've Only Come to Hear United playlist. If you like what you've heard today, please remember to like and subscribe below. Now, see you all after the international filler for a bit more of the good stuff.